So I think there's a fundamental misunderstanding about the purpose of the Electoral College. And I think that it gets back to, again, this lack of the foundation of what our founders wanted for our system, and that is federalism, and that is states' rights. And the idea there is to protect small states from tyranny of the majority by the big states. And I think I mentioned this, we were talking about it earlier, but California has enough votes that they could swing the outcome of a lot of elections if it were a pure how many people voted. Well, a state like Wyoming would just get run over all the time. And the idea of our founders was these states are going to be the primary governing institution for the people who live in each state. And therefore, each state gets equal part through the Electoral College. And it's to protect the rights of small states from being run over by big states. And so it is true that it is not a pure democratic institution, the Electoral College. That's because we are not a pure democracy. And that is because our founders feared the tyranny of the majority as much as they feared the tyranny of the minority, and put in these checks and balances, and in the case of the Electoral College, to protect small states from a few big states. I mean, even if it's not just California, if you said California and New York, those two together could probably determine every election. Although California, a lot of people are leaving and moving to places like Texas and Florida, but that's a whole other thing. And then New York is hemorrhaging people as well. But I think it's important to remember that. And I wholeheartedly oppose the elimination of the Electoral College
Yeah, no,
for
I
that
mean,
reason.
it's important, and I guess I think people just don't understand it because in their mind they hear the word democracy, right? And where that comes in is that's again another, and I'm not calling teachers failures, right? But another failure of our, if you want to call it upbringing, our education, or our understanding of our own education. Because I don't want to say because I'm not in schools these days, so I don't know what they're telling them. But like my son, he's 15 going on 16. I don't think he would have a very big understanding of the Electoral College if I wasn't talking to him about it. Because it's just not something that they talk about it to a basic degree, but they don't really teach them about it. And I think that that's part of where our issues are. When it comes to that, is there's a lack of it. And then when you do have certain institutions educating on it, good chances is a lot of them are going to be biased, or the teacher's not going to be able to take away their bias and give them just the raw education on it. And sometimes that's just natural because they're human beings, but I think that they need to really focus on that. And I think if people do that and they understand like how the government works, like they don't need to be as super detailed as everybody, right? But they got to have more of an understanding of the process. Things are more than just what the result is going to be. The process matters almost more than the end result, because that process is what's going to establish what that result does down the road.